afternoon. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. My name is Carrie Linklater. I'm your chairperson today, and I'm joined on the panel by Lynn Nesbitt and Ray Mazzacati. Our city assessor is Ryan Valderrama, and our admin secretary is Ellen Rojo. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparison of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the board. The board is appointed annually by City Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing, and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. And as information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record.
Got a question. I forgot all the assessors' reports today, so can I borrow one? And,
Yes.
I won't make any notes on them. Thank you.
And good afternoon, Mr. DuPont and Mr. Valderrama, and Happy New Year to everyone.
Thank you.
Please state your full name.
Ryan Valderrama.
And you swear to be able to represent the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, help you God. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please state your full name.
Henry DuPont?
And you swear to be able to represent the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, help you God.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
And we'll start off with 512 London Street.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First property is a file number 19-2554. Has a room number of 0205051100. It is located at 512 London Street. We're dealing with the roll year of 2020, using reference date of April 1st, 2018. The assessed value is $3,773,000. Property is residential apartments with one building and 2 stories. It's an actual and effective year built of 1965. Has 41 seats, 41 outdoor parking stalls, and a land area of 34,913 square feet. It also has a planned area of 12,903 square feet. It gives total gross floor area of 38,709 square feet. On page 3 are some aerial photos of the subject property. On page 4 is the income valuation summary. The property has 41 units with an average monthly rent per unit of $823. Has a vacancy rate of 2.6% and an expense ratio of 49.29%, giving it a net operating income of $199,994. Using the capitalization rate of 5.3%, the capitalized income is $3,773,472. On page 5 are some rent comparables. They are ranging from $858 average monthly rent per unit up to $933. And just below it is the map of the subject property and comparable rents. On page 6 is the capitalization rate. And on page 7 is sales pertaining to on the third schedule is the multifamily sales. There are 5. I'm just going to go through them just for now, and then all the rest of the properties, they're all the same, Madam Chair. So I'll read the first 3 paragraphs. The following is a sample of actual sales that took place during the reference period. The purpose for showing these individual capitalization rates is to illustrate the accuracy of the model and substantiate the model-derived capitalization rates. They are not meant to be comparable specific to the subject property. Net operating income has been developed through stabilizing owner-reported income and expense information. Capitalization rates have been derived by dividing the property's net operating income by its sale price. So the 5 multifamily sales are located at first at 191 Roach Street. Was sold in February 2018 for $3,610,000. Has 36 suites with an effective year build of 1971. It has a calculated cap rate of 4.84%. The second one is located at 394 Talbot Avenue. Has a sale date of December 2017 with a sale price of $770,000. It has 11 suites, an effective year built of 1965, and a calculated cap rate of 4.03%. The third one is located at 285 Maxwell Place. It sold in June 2017 for $2,225,000. It has 23 units, an effective year built of 1960, and a calculated cap rate of 4.4%. The fourth one is located at 277 Langside Street. It was sold in January 2018 for $3 million. It has 47 suites, an effective year built of 1974, and a cap rate of 6.09%. And the last one is located at 333 Ward. Has a sale. It was sold in January 2016 for $18 million. It has 103 suites with an effective year build of 2006. It has an estimated or calculated cap rate of 5%. And on page 9 is the income and expense, 2017 income and expense information of the subject property. That's my presentation, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Dupont, did you have questions of the assessor?
Yes. On your page 7, the cap rates, would you agree that the first 3 comparables you had, the Roach, Talbot, and Maxwell, were bought with the intention to renovate?
During the time of sale, I don't think I'm aware of any intention to renovate on that one. So I couldn't agree or disagree on that question.
Your 4 comparable, 277 Langside is 6.09%, built 1974. The previous 3 were older, and this one's 6.09. So do you know why this property is higher?
I am not sure why.
And you applied a cap rate of 5.3% for subject built 1965. So would you say that the comparable of 277 Langside would indicate your cap rate is too low?
As mentioned in the earlier sentences that I read, it may not be the comparable specific to the subject property, Madam Chair.
The purpose of to illustrate the accuracy of the model. So the model says 5.3, and yet this comparable is 6. So it does not illustrate the accuracy of the model. Would you agree with that?
There's also 1965 at 4.03%. That would that would substantiate the accuracy of the model.
Now, you don't show any income approach for any of those 5 comparables?
No.
So we don't know how you stabilized?
It was indicated just earlier in the sentences that I read. It was the stabilized owner-reported income and expense information.
Yes, so we don't have any evidence to show how it was
No,
stabilized?
they're not attached here, no.
Your rental comparables, page 5. Subject built 1965, and your 4 comparables 1980, 88, 81, 89. So would you agree that the year built for all your comparables are much newer?
Yes, they are newer.
So would you agree then the subject has relatively higher rents, higher than its age group then?
It's actually lower in terms of what I have here. It's $823, and the lowest I have is $858 for my comparables. If we're going to do an adjustment on it, the $823 might seem fair. Madam Chair.
That's all questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mazapat?
No questions.
Thank you.
Did you inspect the property?
No, I wasn't able to.
Okay, and you chose these comparables on your own
Yes, I did.
business? Okay.
Yes, it was based on area and at the same time some total number of units I took into consideration.
Okay. Christy back. Can you explain that 5.3 cap rate, please? I'm looking at your cap rate table, and I see it's at the 80th percentile?
Yes, I would agree. It's in the 80th percentile. It's a model-derived cap rate. There was no change or anything that was done with it. So I think that's all that I can say.
Just your age, you have a year built and effective age of 1965. Is that telling us that there's been no upgrades to these, no significant upgrades to this property?
That's a fair assumption, Madam. There's no significant upgrades. That would warrant a move in the effective year bill.
Have there been any upgrades at all? Are you aware?
I'm not aware if there are any. I'm not sure.
And do you know when the property was last inspected?
No, I don't have that information.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Valderrama, page 4 of your brief, it's all model-driven?
Yes, they are all model-driven parameters, Madam.
And page 5 of your brief with the rent comparables. So, would you say that certainly in terms of location, the one on Moncton Avenue is the most comparable, as it's the closest?
It's closest, and in terms of total number of units, it may be almost similar. The suite mix, well, there's just a little bit of difference, but almost the same, I would say. Yeah, in terms of proximity, it is the closest.
Right. So, I mean, really, your comparables 1 through 4 are all, as was pointed out, much newer, 15 to almost 20 years newer. Would you agree that Gateway Road is a bit of a dividing line in terms of location? I'm going to say, you know, on the side of Gateway where the subject property is located is not the most desirable area compared to the others that are in North Kildonan and Rossmere?
I'm not sure of the desirability of these two areas, Madam Chair.
Okay.
All I did was to look at the market region in terms of looking for comparable rents, and not just within the neighborhood, and to compare the suite mix, asset mix, sorry, and the total number of units. I try to be as close to the subject as possible.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. DuPont, if you'd like to take us through your brief.
Can I give a rebuttal evidence first, though? You're back to clean up. Oh, thank you. So the rebuttal evidence, I start off with the precedent of the municipal board decision last year, where the board made a decision on a cap rate. They agreed with our cap rate and they disagreed with the assessor's cap rate. They said that the four remaining comparable sufficient concerns were raised by the appellant on three of them regarding the purchaser's intention to significantly renovate or alter the structures. The appellant produce evidence from the purchaser which makes the board's question the use of the purchase price and income information. What we argued, and we've always been arguing, is that when the property is bought with the intention to renovate, the purchaser is not buying on the existing income stream, because they're forecasting rent increases after renovations, and therefore the cap rates tend to be on the low end when they intend to renovate. So sale number one, point number two, the purchase stated in the questionnaire itself, it's in the appendix, that the property was purchased with the intention to renovate, and that the condition was fair, and the rents was relatively low at $6.63 per suite, and that's all in the appendix. Number three is on Talbot. There's an email from Asteroid in the appendix. The property manager before and after the sale says the property was purchased with intent to renovate. 2016 questionnaire shows the rents were $537 for one bedroom, $653 for two bedroom. And the recent website says totally renovated and the rents are $800 and $900. So the rents went up over $300 per suite after they bought it, which is quite substantial. The next one, 285 Maxwell, purchaser would intend to renovate. There's an email from the purchaser, it says it was intended to renovate, and confirms the renovation were $415,000, and the intention was to raise rents over 3 years. And the enclosed 2018 questionnaire shows, in fact, that they did spend $415,000 on kitchen and bathroom renovations. Property on board, Altus direct evidence is 5.13%. The assessors is 5%, but we have a full income approach and all supporting documents showing how we arrived at 5.3, so we should not be relying on 5%. The assessor provides no evidence whatsoever to support the 5%. The assessor has the burden of proof. It doesn't show any workup or supporting documents, therefore their cap rate should not be considered. And the cap rate on 277 Lang side is almost exactly the same as ours in our cap rate study. We have 6.19, we have 6.12. So that's my rebuttal evidence.
Okay. Questions, Mr. Valderrama?
No questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Yes, I do have. It seems to be there's an inference here that if you're buying an apartment and you intend to renovate, you're going to be paying more for it. Why would you pay more than you have to just because you want to renovate?
You pay more than the income stream would indicate, because the one had like $600 rent and the other one had $500 rent, so they're low rents. You can buy with the existing income stream, which is the normal cap rate. But if you intend to renovate and raise the rents to $300, you're going to calculate your return based on after renovations. So that on those types of properties, when the intention to renovate, they will tend to have a lower cap rate than buying with existing.
Which means they're paying more than they would otherwise.
They pay
I
more
don't understand
based
why,
on
as a buyer, you would be paying more than you have to just because you want to renovate and make it. I understand what you're saying is that they'll make a higher rent and things like that. But as a buyer, why would you pay more than the market value of the building at the time.
It's not necessarily the market value at the low end, is that it has potential, and you're, as a buyer, you're not the only buyer or potential buyer, so you have to compete.
Yes.
So therefore, that if you buy on the existing income stream, you may not get it. So that they make a decision, well, we'll offer a little bit more than what the cap rate, the normal cap rate would be, because we can renovate, and they have to allow for profits and risk in the renovations, etc. So that's the, especially also for condominium conversion. There was the assessor that hearing properties with where the assessor has said that they disallow any property bought with intention to convert to condos, because they're not buying on the existing income stream. So that was clear to the assessor. Those should be thrown out, but they kept those with the intention to renovate. Yeah, they're paying more than the actual income stream, mainly due to competition.
Questions? No questions. And I have no questions. If you'd like to finish your brief now, thank you.
Okay, so you want this one back. Yep. So before we do a brief, I'd like to present my cap rate study and go through that, and it'll be for all properties here today. And you've probably seen this a few times, so I won't go through too much. Page 2, we have a table comparing the previous cap rates and this year's cap rates. There is some where we're going down in cap rate, and we'll go through that later. Page 3 is the 9 cap rates that we have. And we show the age built and well, the year built and the cap rates, and then we have the other remarks. So 403 St. Anne's is the remarks is share sale, rehab 2 years before sale, so it's totally renovated. These are kind of clean cap rates because nobody's buying with the intention to renovate, they're buying the existing income stream. 155 Martin, the third one, says renovated in 2011-2012. It was granted a 5-year rent exemption, so also a quite clean cap rate. The 210 St. Mary's, 512 Balmoral, and 277 Langside have low rents. So the part of the fact that they have low rents, they usually have lower repair and maintenance. And when you're renovated, they are also usually lower repair and maintenance. And then we have 3 new properties. We don't always have that for the different appeal years that we've had in the past. But now we do have 3, so we have 333 Ward, and same as the assessor. Assessors has got 5%, they got 5.13. Then we have 718 Beach at 5.42, built 2014, and 100 Southview, very large property, 38 million, cap rate 5.59%. We have the supporting documents on all of those. I believe the CBRE was actually asking for 5.4%, so they were marketing it 5.4, and then the final came in at 38 million, 5.59, and based on how we stabilized. So the 3 last columns is the average cap rate for all 9 is 5.91. The newer built 2006 plus is 5.38. We have 3 sales. And 66 to 74, we have 5 sales at 6.15. And we have 1 sale, 210 St. Mary's built in the 50s. And that one's at 6.26. So our cap rate summary from at the bottom of that page, pre-1946 we go 6.25 to 6.6, so we don't dispute the assessor's cap rates for that age group. For 46 to 59, we have the 2/10 St. Mary's, so we go 6 1/4. 60 to 79, we have the 5 cap rate, 6.15, and we go 6. These kind of gone 6 1/4, so 6 is relatively conservative. 80 to 97, we go 5 3/4, so we go 1/4% less than the previous age group. 1998 plus, based on the 3 comparables that we have, we go 5 1/4. And on page 4, we also show and quote the market reports. I believe the assessor has the market reports. They have that on their page 6, I believe. They show the market reports. So we show the Colliers unadjusted, and so the last reassessment was based on the first quarter of 2016, and then this one, the first quarter of 2018. And we show the high rise. Last time it was 4 3/4 to 5 3/4. Now they're 5 to 6. So the low end and the high end went up 1/4%. So the Colliers are saying the cap rates increased by 1/4%. For the low rise, they had 5 to 5 3/4. Now they're 5 to 6. So the low end not changed, but the high end changed 1/4%. And then in red, we show the Colliers adjusted. We adjusted it by 0.10%, as explained in the paragraph below. And it shows that, so their cap rate, high rise is 5.1 to 6.1, and it shows the low rise 5.1 to 6.1. And CBRE, they're a bit different in Colliers, is that they break it down 2 categories, high rise A, high rise B. The Colliers, a lot of their remarks in the report says it's for investment grade, so this is usually considered for the high end grade. CBRE shows that they don't have a high rise A, but the high rise B, they have 5 to 5 3/4, which is unchanged from last time. Low rise A, which would be, in my opinion, those built up to 1997 that we have, I believe. 1998 plus is our age group. So they have 5.5 to 6. We have 5 1/4. That's the lowest one, so that CBRE is a bit higher than us. And low rise B, which would be the 2 categories we have, the 60, 79, 1980, 1997, we have 5 3/4 and 6, and they have 5 3/4 to 6. So our cap rates is right, supported by CBRE, is right in there. Actually, we're a bit on the low side on our newer properties. And we're supported also naturally by the Colliers. So the assessor's cap rates are not supported by the market report. Now, we say there's an increase in cap rates, so the paragraph below is due to increase in mortgage rate by 0.16%. And they adjust our cap rates, we adjust our cap rates because they have closing costs such as land transfer tax. And their performance, see their performance on page 25, 40, 50, 55, see for comparables. Shows how Colliers calculates the cap rates. And it's not just the sale price, they divide the cap rate, income by the cap rate, they also add the land transfer tax as a closing cost, so that it skews their cap rates. And the Colliers report also refers to the fact that the mortgage rates have increased, and that it causes an increase in the cap rates. And they say on page 86, so I quote there in the middle of the page, some investors are willing to see the effects of rising interest rates on cap rates before entering the market. If cap rates do increase due to the interest rate increases, it's expected the multifamily market will be the first impacted due to this sector having the lowest spread cap rate minus interest rate relative to office, retail, industrial. And then we show the Bank of Canada. Bank of Canada's benchmark increased by 0.75%. And the mortgage rates increased by 0.60%. 4%. So the mortgage rates increased by 0.5%. And that's the reason why we're saying the cap rates increased by 0.25%. Then we have the workup on each one of those properties, starting at page 6. So we have all the income and expense. We have the community rental reports. We have the data on each one of those properties. So we have page 24, there's 210 St. Mary's, the portal. And then we have the page 25, the Colliers pro forma. And you can see at the bottom, the Colliers pro forma, they have offering price, $930, then they add the land transfer tax to get the total investment base. And the cap rate is based on that total investment base, which includes the land transfer tax. So if you exclude the land transfer tax, the cap rate is in fact 5.35, not 5.25. 0.1%. And the other one that's a large one is the last one, which is the one in Linden Ridge, page 78. And you see the total there, so it's a relatively new property. They were asking, on page 79, they were asking for $38,750,000. And page 81 at the bottom, they were calculating a cap rate of 5.4%. So they were marketing it 5.4% based on their way of doing it. And they were asking for $38,750,000, and he got, in fact, only $38 million. Then we have a bunch of data that we have on this, including the floor plans, etc. And then we put the data on our spreadsheet that we had previous page 14. So we calculate the cap rate on that one. So that would be my cap rate report.
Okay, thank you. Questions, Mr. Valderrama?
Just to clarify, so the highest RMM per unit that you have here is 1,072 per unit, correct? And that is, just go over. It's 333 ward, right? Correct?
Yes,
And 72%. And all the rest are lower than that.
I think so.
Okay. And that's one question, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Masco?
You listed 9 properties here that were sold. Those all the properties that were sold? How did you select these 9? Why not? You know what I'm getting at?
Getting clean cap rates are very difficult, getting the data on all of them. So I did research a bunch of sales. I have a spreadsheet of all the sales, and trying to get the data, send emails to people. Gathering the data it's months, takes me months to do that. So then these are the 9 comparables I've chosen. I believe when I went to the municipal board, I had, for that decision I quote, I think I had 4 or 5 cap rates, and the assessor had 4. It's very difficult to get cap rates on all properties that I have sold. So these are the 9 cap rate comparables. And getting cap rates on new properties are very difficult. In the past, I believe we had just Ward, it's the only one. Because we don't sell it often. And this time around, we got 3 of them. So we're lucky getting 3 of them. And we got 5 properties in the 68 to 74 range, which is pretty good data.
So you're saying that there are properties that have been sold that you're not able to get a cap rate on, you don't have the information to do it,
Yeah, and there's those that we excluded, those that were intention to renovate, I excluded.
You excluded those. Okay.
Questions? Yeah, I have a question. I'm looking at your page 2. And just the age parameters that you've used. Why are the age parameters that Altus uses different from the city's parameters?
Oh, okay.
I mean, they're the same up until 1959.
Yeah.
But after that, they are not. So, I've always wanted to ask that question.
I have on page 1, change in cutoff year.
Okay.
So in the past, we were agreeing with the assessor that the cutoff was 1975. However, we've had so many hearings where we had half the properties built after 75 and half before. They're all very similar. That decade has a lot of apartment blocks built at the same time. And it didn't make any sense to me that they'd have to cut off right in the middle where properties are similar. So I changed the cutoff to 1979 instead of 1974. Part of that data that we have on that is right at the end, page 93, 94. So this is from the assessor's data, so that for 2016 they had 93 properties built after 1997, and 75 to 97 they had 435. And then 94 is the May 2017, so this would be the 2018 assessment that they had. 75 to 97 they had 432, and they had 60 to 74, 738 actually. And then prior years and years after, they have very few properties, so they have over 1,100 properties built in that time frame. But they have 75 to 97. I believe that you should have the 70s there only. And if you added the last 4 years of 75, 79, you would probably be close to 1,000 apartments built, 60, 74, and maybe 200-300 built after 1979. And then the last page is for the current, this is done in 2019. 60 to 74, 716 properties, and 75 to 97, 422. And after 1997 is 156, so it shows that new properties, they had quite a few built of the new properties. They're coming up all over town. So they had 93 newer properties before for the January 2015 is now 156. So there's a lot more competition now from newer properties. But nevertheless, there's a large group, the largest group of properties I believe were built 60 to 74, and it doesn't make any sense to have a breakdown in the middle of that decade.
So were there any, during that particular period, were there any significant changes in building codes that would suggest that a property should be more comparable to this age versus that age? I know building codes evolve over time, and I know that there was building code changes in that period, but I'm not aware of them specifically, and I'm wondering if you do.
One of the things I did find out from talking to some of the clients was that most of their properties built in the 70s have 24-inch wide fridge and stove. So the apartment fridges that you know about, they're only 24 inch. They changed to 30 inch in the 80s.
Okay.
So most of the properties that we do in the 1980s have their 30 inch fridge and stove, and before it's 24 inch. So you have the kitchens they're inferior because of that size.
In the 70s.
And it was a very dry period for, I believe, 14 years, where CBT says that virtually no building of apartments from, I believe, started in 1980 to 1994. It was not economical to build apartment block.
Was that a result of residential tenancies laws, or was there something else?
Yeah, I believe it's the rent control. They did not pay to build apartment blocks, and so they stopped building them. And then on about 1994, 95, they started to build some more apartments. And I actually had a company from Edmonton that came and they built on Leela and Bellagio, and it was one of the first high-rises, low-rises, that new property that was built in over 14 years. So basically, there was a dry period, 80 to 1994. So the building codes, there may be other things, but nevertheless, to me, the properties built 75, 79 are very similar to properties built 70 to 74. And my comparables that I have are 60 to 74. We have 5. So I believe our comparables that we have, yes, we have 3 in the 70, 72, 73, 74. I believe those 3 comparables are good enough for 74 to 79. To me, it didn't make any sense to bring the cap rates down by 4% because it's the next age group. So that's a change that we dispute the cutoff year for this assessment.
Was it the same? Was it also different in the previous assessments, or is this the first time it's been?
It's the first time that I've challenged it. So for the previous assessment, I was accepting the 74, 75 cutoff. I was just going with their age groups, and I was calculating the cap rates for those age groups. But I had so many hearings where we have pre-1974 and after 1974, they're very similar. We had 2 different cap rates. I always thought it was unfair. So I decided to challenge it.
Thank you.
Just one question, Mr. DuPont. Did you write the report?
Oh, yes. I had help, but
Yeah.
in the end, it's my report, yes.
Thank you. If you would like to give us your brief now on land history.
Page 1 shows a photo, walk up, that's a 2.5 story. The lower story is a basement, half the first story below ground. We show the aerial photo, page 2. And the map, page 3. That's London. And it shows just east of Gateway. Page 6, the cap rate. So we're saying we don't accept the assessor's cap rate 5.3. We're using 6%. Property built 1965. Page 7, repair and maintenance. We get the general ledgers from Phoenix Properties, so that it gives us a whole bunch of data on their repair and maintenance. What they give to the assessor is the financial statements, which has repair and maintenance one figure. So we get the general ledgers, and we go through a lot of trouble to bring down to show these particular categories. So then we show the 5 years, we show the 5-year average, then we stabilize, it shows what we stabilize at. So the first one, appliance maintenance, we stabilize at 2013, 2017. Appliance purchase, we stabilize the 5-year also, and it's $89 per suite. We have a maximum of $167 per suite. It's part of our repair and maintenance study, which I haven't presented to you yet. That'll be next. So the repair and maintenance study we have, it shows that we now use maximums of $167 for appliance purchase, based on average cost of $1,670 for the appliances divided by 10 years. Carpeting, we now use $400 maximum, based on the average cost of $4,000 per suite over a 10-year period. And the painting, we calculated what about a dozen properties that we looked at to see what the maximum was, because sometimes we have properties where they have a whole bunch of painting one year, so they kind of a renovation mode. Painting is not a structural improvements, not capital improvement, but a lot of it would mean it's non-recurring. So this one, we stabilized the paint and decorating. We stabilized at 59% of the 5-year average to bring it down to 174. We excluded the capital purchase made for repairs in red above. General building, we excluded 50% of that as capital expenditures. Well, the remarks would say that general building includes turnover, repairs, 20 to 40% of that category. Small parts and supplies, fire alarm testing, repair doors and locks. So none of those items per se are capital expenditures, but it's relatively large, so we threw 50% of it under capital expenditures. Then refuse and snow, garbage and snow, we stabilize that separately, so we'll add those items. So when we get to stabilize, it comes to 69,062, which is 1684 per suite. And that's what we put on the next page. Our line 27. So we stabilize repair maintenance at 1684. We show the actual years. The 3-year average is 85,000. We stabilized 69 because we made adjustments on some of those. Now line 33, we stabilized 197. The assessor is 199.9. So we're very, very close. So it's basically a cap rate difference. But if you look above, we do have higher rents in the assessor. Subject line 3 is 844 per suite. Now we show the rent per suite for all properties now, because that's part of our repair maintenance study. Repair maintenance also show the number of rooms. The repair maintenance per room, we don't think on a per room basis. But in this particular case, if you look, they have a large amount of one-bedrooms, 32 one-bedrooms and 9 two-bedrooms. So they're not half and half. So if you use 3 rooms for one-bedrooms and 4 rooms for 2 bedrooms, it has 114 rooms. So the rent per room is 303 per room. And when you get to the repair maintenance study, you'll see that that is relatively high. So the 844 per suite is actually high. It's higher than what we'll have in the repair maintenance, and it's on a per room basis is also higher, and mainly is because they have a relatively high repair maintenance to get those rents. So we get at the bottom a 6% cap rate, and we get a value of $3,287,000 versus the assessment $3,773. And that's my report on this. Now I'd like to go to repair maintenance study. Or question 1.
Yeah, we're going to ask questions first. Otherwise, we're going to. Mr. Valderrama, did you have questions on strategic bonds for you?
None at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Valderrama?
No questions.
I have no questions.
Just one. Did you have a chance to inspect the property?
No, I did not.
Did you speak to the building manager or the owner about the property, about the condition?
No, not specifically, no.
Okay. So you can't speak to the condition of this building? It's 1965? No?
I can speak to the condition by the fact that they spend a relatively high amount on repair and maintenance. They're owned by Phoenix. Phoenix keeps good care of their properties. I've inspected some of their properties. I inspected, of course, at St. James, when we did the appeal and municipal board. It's very well kept, but they were not modernized in any way. They still look like older properties, but well kept older properties. So they don't renovate the kitchens and modernize them and put the breakfast tables. So they're very well kept.
Okay. Thank you.
Repair maintenance study, if I can present it.
Okay. After that, we're going to take a short break.
Yeah. Okay, so we started a repair maintenance study for the first time. It's a long time. Now we started off by showing the CMHC rents. And we show the CMHC rents. And the CMHC also has the category 75 to 89 and 60 to 74. So they have the breakdown that year, 74, 75 for the cutoff. They show rents from 1 bedroom to bedroom. But they mix high rises, low rises, they're mixed renovated, unrenovated. So when they have 60, 74, the average rent 989. Our requirement is study. If you look at index number 10, 60, 79, we have 47 properties. And the average rent that we have is 809, which is much lower than the CMHC. And CMHC is inaccurate because it includes the renovated and the high-rise. So it's not very reliable. We had that as a guideline. So anytime you see rents over 1,000, it's high. Now the second table, so the one categories we have lots of properties. It's number 5, high-rise, 4679. We have 20 properties there. The actual repair minutes per suite was 2112 per suite. We stabilized at 1731. The repair minutes per room shows 614. But we stabilized per room was 503 was less. But the rent is $999 for high rises, that age group, and then the 60 to 79 low rise, the rent is $809. So there's a big difference between high rise and low rise in the rents. The rent, line 10, on a per room basis, the last column is 232, and I had calculated the subject of 300 something because I had high bedroom, 1 bedroom cap. So the subject property has relatively high rent on a per room basis, even though we don't think that way. But I did notice they had the suite mix was skewed towards a one bedroom. So the subject is 800 something per suite. It's higher than 844 per suite. And it's 809 for their age group that they have. And the actual R&M for that age was 1553. We stabilized 1409. We stabilized this one 1684. But what we've done for all properties, 115 properties we have here, we stabilize all of them on a site-specific basis. We don't use averages. We don't take low ones, bring them up to average, or high ones, bring them down to averages. Just to show that everything we do is on a site-specific basis. Now we show each property, and then if you page 2, these are newer properties, and naturally newer properties will tend to have lower repair and maintenance. So you'll see there that we stabilize at $357 per suite for 1355 Pembina. It's built 2014, and the vacant 3 others were stabilized close to 1,000 per suite, and Ron stabilized at 927 per suite. So we stabilize at the lower end here because they're newer properties and they have less repair and maintenance. And then page 3 is a renovated property, and we stabilize at 657 per suite based on the actual. So we're going low. So then the next group is page 4. There's 2 properties, high rises, built 80 to 97. We stabilized at 1126 and 1915. Both site specific. The one at 1915 had really high rents of 1263 per suite, and the other one on NAC had low rents of 807 per suite. So that this is shows as part of our philosophy, or what we have remarked is that when you have high rents, you need high repair and maintenance to support them. Unless you were renovated, then you don't have to spend money on as much money because of the renovations. The big group is page 6, where we have high rises. And if you look at the third last column, the Altus rent after discount, it's from low to high there. So it starts at $7.99 per suite, goes all the way up to $13.17 per suite. And the repair and maintenance tends to go up the higher it is. So it's not in a straight line, and we're not saying it should be. But nevertheless, those that there's like the second one on St. Anne's, it had 807 rent, and the stabilized repairment is 1160. And the highest one, 333 Wellington Crescent, built 1954, one of the oldest high rises in Winnipeg, and I believe it is the oldest. But nevertheless, they're getting really high rents of $13.17 per suite. And they're getting that because they're spending a lot of money. It's a prestige location, and they're getting high rents due to the high repair maintenance. And then the other group with the large amount, 47 suites, is start page 11. So then it starts on top, the third last column, property on Ness has low rents of $356 per suite, and then we stabilize repair maintenance at low of $614. Then you tend to have higher rents and higher repair maintenance matching. So we cannot average repair maintenance. It has to be site specific on all properties, and every property is on a different path as to where they are, their upkeep, and that is our study to support that we have for repair maintenance of all properties circulate. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Villanueva, questions?
No question.
Mr. Massimo?
Yeah, just some of the rent, the last page you showed us, some of the rents are in red. What does that mean? The figures, the amounts are shown in red. Page 11.
Oh, okay. Because we see potential rents after discounts, and then the red says it includes vacancy in the remarks. Because the financial statements do not break down.
So the others don't include vacancy.
No, that's before vacancy. But some of them just show rents received, so we have no way to know what they are. So they are rents including vacancy.
Okay, what's this after discount? What does that mean, rent after discount? What's the discount?
Oh, sometimes they show they have a certain amount of legal rents that they can charge according to rent guidelines, and then they give discounts. They charge less than what they can give,
So that's
what they can charge.
In fact, that's the market rent. That's what they
It's
can get.
basically a market rent. The municipal board has ruled many times that the rents to use is the rents after discount, so that we always use the rents after discounts as the market rent.
Yes. Okay. That's all my questions.
Thank you. No questions. And I have no questions.
And I forgot to add, part of the requirement studies that goes further, so that page 18, 19, we got data from K4 as to how much it costs for our carpeting. We have a whole bunch of properties from the general ledgers for the appliances and carpeting. We have another property in Rodman where they give us their costs of appliances, flooring, etc. So we got a whole bunch of properties, and that's where we come up with our maximum 400 for flooring. So we more of a fine-tooth comb this time around, that we are establishing what the maximum should be for certain items. We never did that in the past.
Okay. I just have one quick question. Again, did you prepare this report?
Amy Becker from our office puts in all the data.
Okay.
But those 115 properties, the 115 properties I alone did, not the rest of Altus. I don't care what they did, because I can't check what they have. So this is what I have stabilized personally, every property. So when it says Altus stabilized, it's Henry DuPont stabilized.
Okay. Thank you.
And then I give her my reports, and she put that in your repair maintenance study.
Okay.
Follow-up question.
Yes.
Did Does that include all the properties that you handle?
That myself, yes.
Yes, it
I
does.
have excluded some where the repairmanist is kind of iffy. Sometimes they're, I don't know.
Yes.
Sometimes we don't have enough details, and they're 3,000 per suite, so now exclude those. So I have excluded some that are very high. But I would say 95% of the properties I handle are here.
Okay, thank you. And on that, we're just going to take a quick 5-minute break. I would like to call this meeting back to order, and we are going to move on to 535 Gray Street. And whenever you are ready, Mr. Valderrama.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next property has a file number of 19-4727. It has a roll number of 02050318000. It is located at 535 Gray Street. We're dealing with the roll year of 2020, using reference date of April 1st, 2018. The assessed value of the property is $2,241,000. The property is a residential apartment with one building, 2-story, with actual and effective year built of 1966. It has 22 units or suites with 19 outdoor parking, a land area of 22,339 square feet, a planned area of 7,920 square feet, and a gross floor area of 23,760 square feet. On page 3 are a couple of aerial photos of the subject property. On page 4 is the income valuation summary. Property has 23 units. It has an average monthly rent per unit of $871.10. Has a vacancy rate of 2.6%. An expense ratio of 49.29%. Giving it a net operating income of $118,749. Using capitalization rate of 5.3%, the capitalized income is $2,240,547. And all the parameters here are model derived. On page 5 are some rent comparables. They're all ranging from $884 up to $1,043 average monthly rent per unit. And below it is the map of the subject property and the comparable rents. Or pages 6 and 7 are capitalization rate charts. And on page 9, to the last page, is the 2017 income and expense information for the subject property. That's my presentation, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Dupont?
No.
No questions. Once again, did you have a chance to inspect the property?
No.
No. And page 4 of your brief is model driven?
Yes, all the parameters.
That's all my questions, thank you.
Thank you.
If you would like to proceed with your brief, Mr. Dupont?
Yes, go quickly on the appendix, page 11. You have the appendix, and there's some notes there as to how much it is appliance per suite and flooring per suite. So it was 85 per suite for appliance and 35 for flooring in 2017, and the maximum is 167, or normal, if you get the average over 10 years. And the flooring should be 400, so they're 10% of what there should be, flooring, and 795 for all the suite. And the previous year is page 13. the appliance and carpeting was 56 and 36. And the year before was no appliance and $43 for carpeting only. They're again about 10%, what should be normal. Page 17 for the 2014 was $133 per suite for appliance, which is getting close to $167, but the flooring is only $31 per suite, less than 10%. And 2013 is page 19, 43 per suite appliance, 43 for carpeting. So all 5 years are low for repair and maintenance on appliances and carpeting. I would suggest it's not that good of a condition. Page 7. So the subject has a potential gross rent is $782 per suite, line 3, which is less than the assessor, so the assessor is on the high side. And the repair maintenance study is also a rent comparable study. It was 809, I believe, for that age group. But the subject has a lot of 2-bedrooms, 22 bedrooms, and only 2 1-bedrooms. So the 782 may be close to the average, but because of the high amount of 2 bedrooms, it's actually on the low side. And repair maintenance, line 27, the 5-year average is 1167, which is lower than the average, around the 1500. But we don't bring it up to the average, we go site specific all the way. So if we were to use averages, this would go up. This is like $1,200 per suite. So it's on the low side. So we use site-specific repair maintenance. When we get to line 33, we're virtually the same as the assessor. So we're similar. So it becomes a cap rate study. Cap rate difference. So we're 6% for the 1966. And that's based on our cap rate study. If you recall, we had 5 cap rates, from 60 to 76, I believe, 74, I believe, 6.15. The assessor has no cap rate comparables, and we do, and I believe we should go with the 6% cap rate we have for this property. Thank you, that's my report.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. Valderrama?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Mr. Mazzipat?
No questions.
And I have no questions. So did you have a chance to inspect the property?
No, I did not.
No. Did you have a chance to speak to the owner or the property manager? Because I think you had made a statement earlier that you were sort of surmising that perhaps the building was not particularly well maintained.
Well, yeah.
Based on their
We could
costs.
talk to the property manager and ask on a 1 to 5 what your rate is. We go with the financial statement. And the financial things for the last 5 years indicate that they're hardly spending any money or not as much money as they should on appliance replacement and carpeting. So I would suggest that means that it's not that great of a condition based on the figures.
Okay. So I'm just going to ask, and I'm just curious as to why you don't contact the property manager.
That's a subjective thing. We talked to managers or owners, mainly managers, when we have something unusual that we need to talk to them about. Otherwise, we don't bother. I had complaints filed against me with the manager of Altus saying I asked too many questions. Every time I had an appeal, I'd ask, bombarded with questions, and they complained. So I stopped asking questions. We give you the financial statements, we give you a rent rolls, same data as the assessor. Don't bother us with questions. And usually, when I ask questions, I have 1 or 2 days to do it. I have a report due tomorrow.
Right.
Please answer this question, and they get pissed off. I've changed over the years because I used to ask too many questions, and now I don't bother the property managers unless I have to.
Okay. Just one other question. Page 1 of your brief. You have the stories listed at 2.5. Is that because there's basement suites? Are you?
Oh, yeah, that's what we call
Okay.
it. You see the windows?
Okay. Okay.
Half the suites is below ground.
Yeah.
We call those 2.5.
Okay.
And 3 stories when the bottom story is all above ground.
Okay. Gentlemen, if anybody wishes to have a summation, just speak up. And we'll move on to 1025 Monroe Avenue. Mr. Valderrama, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next property is a file number 19-33G5. It has a roll number of 0206089850. It is located at 1025 Monroe Avenue. We're dealing with the roll year of 2020. It's in reference date of April 1st, 2018. The assessed value is $2,766,000. The property is residential apartments with one building, 2 stories, an actual and effective year built of 1971. It has 29 suites with 29 outdoor parking. It has a land area of 31,012 square feet, a planned area of 8,364 square feet, and a gross floor area of 25,092 square feet. On page 3, a couple of aerial photos of the subject property. On page 4 is the income valuation summary. There are 29 total units with an average monthly rent per unit of $852.91. Has a vacancy rate of 2.6%, an expense ratio of 49.29%, giving it a net operating income of $146,601. Using the capitalization rate of 5.3%, the capitalized income is $2,766,057. And these are all model-derived parameters. On page 5 are some rent comparables. They are ranging from $819 up to $933 average monthly rent per unit. And right below it is the map of the subject property and the map of the comparable rents. On pages 6 and 7 are capitalization rate chart. On page 9 and page 10 is where the 2017 income and expense information for the subject property. And that's my presentation, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. DuPont?
You don't show anywhere where it's got electric heat or gas heat?
No, I don't.
So your model does not make any difference in the expense ratio whether it's electric or gas?
No, I don't, I'm not aware of anything. I don't know.
That's all questions.
Thank you. Mr. Matt?
No questions, sir.
I have a question on your page 5 comparables. Is the subject, is that the model rent for the subject?
$852.91.
That's a model rent? It's my understanding that comparable number 2 is actually a sister property to 1025. So 1035 and 1025 are sister properties, I believe. There's quite a big difference in rent there. Is that the actual for 1035?
I think it is the actual. Yes, it is the actual.
Okay. So your model is coming out at a lower rent.
Yes, it is.
Okay. And your page 4 is all model, true?
Yes, they're all model.
I'll ask the question that my chairman asks, did you inspect the property?
No, I wasn't able to.
Thank you. Okay. No further questions?
I guess my question here is, just looking on page 10 of your brief, It doesn't look as though they're spending a whole lot on maintenance and repair. And plus, they have listed pest management. So I guess I'm just wondering, given the age to 1971 with no upgrades, and you don't know the last time this was inspected? No. So it's just making me question then the 5.3 cap rate again. Sorry, that's really more of a statement than a question, Mr. Valderrama.
It's okay, Madam Chair.
Sorry. Mr. DuPont, if you want to give us your brief.
Yeah, for the total, page 1. Aerial photo, etc., and then the map, page 3. Near Planet. Now, page 7. The property does have high rents. It's $8.98 per suite. If you recall, the requirement study for that age group is $8.09. And the subject is 17 one-bedroom and 12 two-bedroom, so they is skewed towards a one-bedroom. So it has, in fact, quite high rents, maybe $100 more than what the average for that age group is. 1971. So it's not that new in that age group. So the line 13, we have higher effective gross income than the assessor. But then line 31, we have more expenses than the assessor, about $40,000 more expenses than the assessor. Their expense ratio is 49, ours is 59. Part of that is the utilities. If you look line 20, the hydro is $33,000, the gas is $4,600. The previous two properties, we had the reverse. We had the high gas and the low electricity. The electricity tends to be for lights only. Now, the Globe property had 13% for utilities, line 23. And the other property has 16%, and this one has 19.5% for utilities. So the fact that it has electric heat causes it to have higher expense ratio. So we stabilize a site-specific basis, and we automatically capture what it is on a site-specific basis. And that explains in part, though, why it has a higher expense ratio. And then the repair maintenance is $1,597 per suite, and the average was $1,553 for that age group. So it's slightly above or close to the average. So repair maintenance is in line. Utilities is probably the main reason why the expense ratio higher than the assessor. Nevertheless, we're going site specific, so we should go with our expense ratio as stabilized. So our net operating income is $125,000 versus the assessor $146,000. We are about $20,000 less than the assessor. Now, the repair maintenance, line 27, they had a low year in 2017. So that's the year that the assessor had, so it was only 1,000 per suite that year. But the previous 4 years it was 46 to 52,000, and it was quite steady at that rate. So we have 4 years at higher repair maintenance. So that's one of the reasons we have a 5-year average for repair maintenance. We can stabilize that item. So in fact, this property has higher rents than normal and slightly higher repair maintenance than normal. So when we apply the cap rate, we get a value of $2,087,000 versus the assessment of $2,766,000, and that's my report.
Thank you. Questions?
No questions, Madam Chair.
Mr. Mazzacott?
Well, the repair maintenance is higher than the other property, right, for suite, like,
Well, one property had 1,100, the other property had 1,697, I think, well, close to 1,700. And the average for repair maintenance city is 1,553, 47 properties in that age group.
because the percentage, as a percentage of expense is higher than the others. And part of it is because of the electrical heat, which you explained. But that's only part of it, I guess. But the other part is the repairs and maintenance.
London repair maintenance was 16.3%, this one's 15. And on Gray, that's what they had, only 1,100 per suite repair and maintenance, it was 11.9%. I don't think repair and maintenance is out of line.
No. It's just that the total expense ratio of 59.4 seems to be high.
Yeah, we had, yeah, the other ones tend to be, well, were lower, but this is based on site specific, and that's what we should go by. And, you know, some are higher and some are lower than average. So the one on Gray, we didn't try to bring the repair maintenance up to the average. It goes site specific.
I have no questions.
And I have no questions. I'm just going to ask you a general, you have not inspected any of the properties today on the docket, correct?
No.
Okay, thank you. So we will move on to 1045 Monroe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next property has a file number 19-3398. It has a roll number of 0206089950. It is located at 1045 Monroe Avenue. We're dealing with the roll year 2020, using reference statement April 1st, 2018. The assessed value is $2,356,000. The property is a residential apartment with one building, 2 stories, with an actual and effective year built of 1971, 29 suites, and 30 outdoor parking. It has a land area of 26,982 square feet, a planned area of 8,364 square feet, and a gross floor area of 25,092 square feet. On page 3, are a couple of photos, aerial photos of the subject property. On page 4 is the income valuation summary. Then there are 29 units with an average monthly rent per unit of $854. Has a vacancy rate of 2.6%. An expense ratio of 56.86%. Giving it a net operating income of $124,875. Using a capitalization rate of 5.3%, the capitalized income is $2,356,132. On page 5 are some rent comparables. They are ranging from $884 up to $932 average monthly rent per unit. And right below it is the map of the subject property as comparable rents. Pages 6 and 7 are the capitalization rate charts. And on page 9, page 11, is the 2017 income and expense information for the subject property. That's my presentation, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Questions?
No questions.
Thank you.
Mr. Mazakat?
No questions.
I have no questions. No questions. Mr. DuPont, if you want to proceed.
Page 1 photo, 2.5 stories. 1971 on Monroe, we have the aerial photo after that. And then the map at page, so it's west of Canada Road. The cap rate, we're not agreeing with the 5.3, we use the 6% based on the cap rate study. At page 7, that's built 1971, and you'll see the hydro and water, and gas. So the hydro is high and the water is gas is low, so that is the reverse of the previous property. So it has a lower expense ratio on the utilities, but higher on the repair and maintenance. The rents that it has, line 3, $876 per suite, which is relatively high for that age group. In our cap rate study, our repair and maintenance study is 809. And the average repair and maintenance was $1,553, and here is $1,872. So we stabilized at the actual vacancy at 6.3. If you can see line 5, the vacancy crept up in 2015, and they increased their rents quite a bit in 2015, by almost 30,000. Then they increased the rents again in 2016 and 2017. So they pushed the market there. 2016, 2017, higher than normal increase, and that created a higher than normal vacancy. So we stabilized at 6.3. Then line 13, effective gross income, we're almost exactly the same as the assessor. Now the expenses, we have 10,000 higher expenses than the assessor. And then we have our cap rate difference. So the utilities is 15.7%, which is not bad for expense ratio on the utilities. Repair and maintenance is a bit on the high side, 1872 per suite. That is site specific. If you see line 27, we excluded the low year of 2013. It was less than 1,000 per suite. Then it went up, mainly because the rents went up. So we matched the level of the rents by the fact that the rents went up. So we use only the 4-year average in this particular case. I'd like to go through the appendix to show you repair and maintenance. So page 12 is the start of 2017. So this is towers, and they break down the repair and maintenance and many items. So we have the middle of the page, RM, those are repair and maintenance items. Then we have a small one on sign maintenance, RM. Then the bottom again, we have RM. Page 13, they had a fairly high turnover repairs, 29,000. So we showed 2016 with 17,000, and the prior years they had different categories, so it's very difficult to determine. So we allowed only 25% of this 29,000, which is about 12,550. And the paint was $80 per suite. Fridge appliances was 101, which is relatively low, and flooring was relatively low at the 131 per suite. Prior year is page 14, 2016. The paint, we allowed 46% to bring it down to 175 per suite. The appliances were 75 per suite, which is on the low end, about half to the 167 max. Flooring disappeared into turnover repairs, so we don't know what that is. Page 16. The different types of statement, and then we tenant area painting, we brought it down to 175 per suite again, and the tenant area R&M includes the flooring, so we don't know how much is spent there, and the appliances about 183 per suite, that are about the max. Page 18, the different types of statement again. This is the assessor's repair and maintenance, or the questionnaire, so they fill out the questionnaire. So the repair and maintenance is line 212 and 214, the maintenance repairs plus the maintenance supplies. And under capital cost summary, right at the middle of the page, they show nothing. That's how the assessor asked for that, for the school window seat. And they show nothing. Page 21 is the 2013. So then the repair and maintenance is line 212, 214 again. Well, page 22, they did have capital costs of $29,000 in the windows. So we disallowed that. So we only allowed the $26,000 and $1,000 for repair supplies, and that's why we had the low year for 2013 on our spreadsheet number 7, 2766. So that excludes the windows, $29,000 that year. So back to page 7. So these are the items that we had. We adjusted some of the items to show the actuals and brought down some of those items. The actual repayments was higher, but we adjusted some items down. For 1872 per suite, the repair maintenance is site specific. It matches the high rents, and that's my report.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. Valderrama?
No questions.
Mr. Rusick?
No questions.
I have one question, and I think it's what Ms. Nesbitt brought up. Is this a sister building to the previous property?
Well, we can look at the suite mix of page 7. The photos are different. Suite mix is 17 and 12. It's an exact 29 suite, built 71. So it appears to be a sister building. So you have different managers and different hats over the years.
Page 1 of your brief, the outside picture, did you take that?
Not Google Maps.
Okay. Do you know what year that was? Is it current?
Well, yeah, what we get on Google Maps now. They're usually within 1 or 2 years, I believe.
Okay. It just looks to me as though the outside is not in great condition.
I can't be more accurate than the date of the photo.
Okay. That's all my questions. Thank you. And we'll move on to 80 Privet. And whenever you're ready, Mr. Valderrama.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next property has a file number of 19-3412. It has a roll number of 0205113700. It's located at 80 Privet Street. We're dealing with the roll year of 2020. Using reference date of April 1st, 2018, the assessed value is $4,388,000. It is a residential apartment with 1 building, 4 stories, an actual and effective year built of 1971, with 60 suites, 64 outdoor parking, a land area of 56,369 square feet, a planned area of 14,159 square feet, and a gross floor area of 56,636 square feet. On page 3 are a couple of aerial photos of the subject property. And on page 4 are the income valuation summary. Property has 60 units with average monthly rent per unit of $850.25. Has a vacancy rate of 2.6%. Expense ratio of 61%, giving it a net operating income of $232,543. using capitalization rate of 5.3%, the capitalized income is $4,387,604. On page 5 are some rent comparables. They're all ranging from $890 up to $976 average monthly rent per unit. And just below it is the map of the subject property and the comparable rents. Pages 6 and 7 are the capitalization rate charts. And starting page 9 to page 12 is where the 2017 income and expense information for the subject property is. And that's my presentation, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. Ducon?
No questions.
Mr. Mexico?
No questions.
No questions, okay. Just to confirm again, Mr. Valderrama, you did not have a chance to inspect any of the properties today? Thank you. If you'd like to give us your brief, Mr. DuPont.
Page 1, photo. This one's 4 stories. Page 2 is aerial map. And page 3 is the map that shows it's close to the planet, just west of the planet. Page 7. So line 3, it's 840 per suite, and if you see the last 5 years, it was 581,000 to 604. So the increases were not that high or fairly normal over time. They're slightly higher than the average that we have in the repair and maintenance of 809, so it's a bit on the high side. The vacancy, it was 6.7%, so the market pushed back on their rents. They had to give discounts on top of that. They did increase the rents in 2016 to 2017 by about 50,000. Then they had to increase their discounts. So we stabilized at 4% vacancy, the 2-year average, which is less than the actual. So line 13, we're 611 in our stabilized EGI, which is higher than the assessor, about 15,000 higher. We stabilized each individual item. The gas and the hydro are about half and half in this particular case. And the expense ratio for utilities is 17%, so it's a little bit higher than normal. Repair and maintenance, we show the 5 years. And the 5-year average, which we stabilized at, is 1778 per suite, which is based on site specific, and based on the fact that it also has relatively high rents, higher than normal rents. So our net income, line 33, we're 221,000, the assessor's 232, so we're relatively close to the assessor, but lower. We should go with the lower net income based on site specifics. With the cap rate, we get the value of $2,685,000. I'd like to go through the financials to see what we did with the recurring maintenance. So page 11, it's the same as we had a while ago from Towers. The plumbing, it was 18,000, and we allowed 50%. We showed the other years. 2016 was 17,000, 2015, 15, 14 was 9,000, 13 was 71. So by alone 50%, we're down to about 9,000. And then page 12, the carpeting, it was 409, which is close to the $400, which would be the average. The appliance is 89, below the average. Page 14 is the 2016 statement. There again, plumbing, we went 50% of that. So we brought it down about 9,000. Page 15, the flooring is down to 148 per suite, and the appliance fridge is only 18 per suite. they're both on the low side. Page 17 is our start of the 2015 statement. We allowed 75% of the plumbing, and there again to bring it down to about 9,000-10,000. Page 18 shows the carpeting is at 72 and the appliances at 92, both below average. Page 20 is the 2014 statement. We allowed the 25% of the fire and safety. We showed the 4 years in the far right. And they were 1789, 2700, 529, and 3400. So when we allow 25%, we're about 2500. Page 21 shows that the carpeting was on the low side, 30 per suite. Appliance replacements on the low side, 69 per suite. And 2013 starts on page 23. And we made no adjustments on that page. And we, page 24, the carpeting is on the low side and appliance also. So that would be my submission.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. Valderrama?
No questions.
Mr. Meisner?
No questions.
And I have no questions.
I just have one quick question. On page 7 of your brief, the water went up significantly. Sorry, line 21. Does it have anything to do with the pool?
It went up, then went back down for 2017. We stabilized at 2017.
I just looked back on the brief on 512 London because it has a high number of suites like this one. Anyway, the water was much lower. So I just curious, Mr. DuPont.
Well, we do have 2 years in a row. So if we had the high year in 2017, then we'd be inclined to use a 3-year average. In this case, the 3-year average is 52,000. I stabilized at 54, so we end up being close to the 3-year average. Actually, we have the 2014 water. If we go to the 2014 statements. On page 20. It's 55,000. So the 37,000 is the abnormal one. It's 54, 55,202. So I was curious as to why 2015 is that way, but that's the outlier is 2015, and we relied on 2017.
Okay. Thank you.
That 2013 water was 46,399.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to 480 Gray Street.
What could have happened is there could be maybe 3 bills in 2015 and 5 bills in 2016, right? So that
Okay.
because
just
it's
wondering.
quarterly bills, so
It's
that
high.
possibly what happened there.
All right. Mr. Valderrama, if you want to move on to Gray Street.
Madam Chair, the next property has a file number 19-2644. Has a roll number 0205048000. It is located at 480 Gray Street. We're dealing with the roll year of 2020 using reference date of April 1st, 2018. The assessed value is $2,654,000. The property is a residential apartment with one building, 2 stories, actual and effective year built of 1965. It has 30 suites, 29 outdoor parking, and a land area of 27,975 square feet, a planned area of 9,412 square feet, and a gross floor area of 28,236 square feet. On page 3 are a couple of aerial photos for the subject property. And on page 4, income valuation summary. The property has 30 units with an average monthly rent per unit of $790.94. Has a vacancy rate of 2.6%, an expense ratio of 49.29%, giving it a net operating income of $140,637. Using capitalization rate of 5.3%, the capitalized income is $2,653,528. On page 5 are some rent comparables. They are ranging from $819 up to $933 average monthly rent per unit. Just below it is the map of the subject property and comparable rents. Pages 6 and 7 are the capitalization rate charts. From page 9 to page 11 is where the 2017 income and expense information for the subject property. That's my presentation, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. DuPont?
No questions.
Thank you.
Mr. Mazagal?
No questions.
No questions. Just one quick question on page 2 of your brief.
Sure.
You've got a sale in, and I realize it's 2002, but it's for $2,055,000.
I wasn't able to confirm that sale because of the date of sale. It's way back in 2002, so I wasn't able to confirm that.
Okay, so you don't know if it's arm's length or anything. Okay, I'm just wondering because the property's virtually in 20 years only being assessed now at, $600,000 more, so. Okay.
There could be something more involved in the $2 million, which I don't have the information.
All right, thank you, fair enough.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. DuPont, if you'd like to give us your brief.
Page 1, that photo. The that story, 1965, and the aerial map, and then the map of the area. Pretty much the same area as the prior property, so east of Gateway, closer to Gateway. Page 7. So line 13, we have slightly higher rent than the assessor, AGI. Repair maintenance, we're at $1,606 per suite. The rent, line 3, $769. So that's slightly less than the average that we have for the age group. But it has a high number of one-bedrooms, 21 one-bedrooms, 9 two-bedrooms. So we should have lower than the average because of the suite mix skewed towards one bedroom. So the rent's probably at or near average. Repair and maintenance, $1,606 that we have. The hydro and gas. So the hydro is on the low side, gas on the high side. So the heat is gas, and the expense ratio for utilities is only 13%. So that's on a low side for the utilities. Or we're going site specific on the. What we did, we averaged the water. It was 27, 21, and 15. So we averaged the water to 2015, 2017. We can go to the financials quickly. We end up with a similar NOI. We're like with $500, so it becomes a cap rate only. But we did make adjustments to the repair maintenance. So if you look at the financials, page 11, 2017. Appliance is 106 per suite on the low side, and it shows the repair maintenance, the flooring, 180 per suite. We disallowed the windows and door of 47,000. Page 12 is the remainder of 2017. We did not disallow or show anything unusual there. Page 13 is the 2016 statement. So the appliances on the low side of 42, the flooring is at the low side 84. We disallowed the roof repair of 8,100. Page 14, nothing unusual there. Page 15, we allowed only 3262 for plumbing. They had 16,000 for plumbing that year. We showed the other 4 years, 860, 5,000, 3,700, 2111, so we allowed 3,200 to bring in line with the other years. Page 16, the flooring was 265 per suite, but still below the normal. Page 17 is the start of 2014. We allowed only 25% of the exterior. It was 30,000, so we brought it down. Then page 19, we allowed miscellaneous interior. We allowed only 50% of that. So when we use the 5-year average, it's after the adjustments downward for some certain items that we had there. So that would be my report.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. Valderrama?
No questions, Madam Chair.
Mr. Mazzapart?
This is sort of a general question, but when you're looking at repairs and maintenance, and you do an average, then you say subject stabilized, it's always a little bit higher than the average. It seems to me.
Oh, then the average of the repairman study?
Yes. Oh, the average of even the average that you show in this report here on page 7, you have average 2015, 2017 column, and for example, for repairs and maintenance, you have 46,000, but for what you're using is 48,170.
Oh, that average is the 3-year average. The 46,000 is the 3-year average.
You never use that.
We rarely use the 3-year average. When we don't, let's say, use the revenue and expense for 2013, 2014. We show the income side to see the trends. We don't show the other expenses. The only one we do is repair and maintenance, because we tend to use a 5-year average when we have it. So in this case, it's higher. 5 years is higher than the 3 years. Yeah.
Well, going back, just based on memory, because I haven't looking back at all the other ones, but it seems that this subject stabilized figure is always higher than the 3-year average from repairs and maintenance. No? Am I wrong?
I have no idea because I don't check that.
Okay. Just going by memory here, I haven't really compared it.
All I can say is that the 5-year average is more accurate than the 3-year average.
Okay.
And our default is mainly 5-year average, whether it's higher or lower.
Okay. All right. So,
I have no questions.
I just have one question on page 7 of your brief. Under discounts, it just looks as though from 2013 to 2017 there's been an increase. Well, I guess 2016 was a bit higher. So are they experiencing higher vacancies that they're giving the discounts, or do you know?
Well, they're increasing the rents of the right, page 11, does show rent discounts of 24,000. And some other years they show rent reduction, which would be a caretaker rent reduction, but they don't show that. So it appears it's all actual discounts. The page 17 from 2014, they had rent discounts and rent reduction. So the 2014 would have 5,400. That's the rent reduction for a caretaker, and the rent discount was actually lower, 46.4. So when we show in 2014 10,000, half of that was caretaker. But the subsequent years was only strictly discount. But they did increase the rents from 2014 to 2017 by 43,000.
Okay.
So I guess part of their rent increases, they have to have discounts to get the market to absorb the rent increase.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. I'm now frozen.
I am frozen.
My goodness, it sounds like they're having a good time next door. Move on to 111 Gray Street.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next property has file number 19-3618. There's a roll number of 14091104000. It is located at 111 Gray Street. We're dealing with the roll year of 2020 using reference date of April 1st, 2018. The assessed value is $2,583,000. The property is a residential apartment with one building, 2 stories, and an actual year built of 1968 and an effective year built of 1982. It has 24 suites, 22 outdoor parking stalls, a land area of 15,015 square feet, a land area of 6,965 square feet, and a gross floor area of 20,895 square feet. On page 3, a couple of aerial photos for the subject property. And on page 4, the income valuation summary. There are 24 units with an average monthly rent per unit of $860.94, a vacancy rate of 2.6%, and an expense ratio of 46.52%. Giving it a net operating income of $129,156. Using the capitalization rate of 5%, the capitalized income is $2,583,120. On page 5 are some rent comparables. They are ranging from $884 up to $922 average monthly rent per unit. Right below it is the map of the subject property and comparable rents. On pages 6 and 7 are the capitalization rate charts. And beginning page 9 to page 11 is where the 2017 income and expense information. That's my presentation, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. DuPont?
No question.
Mr. Mazepan?
No questions.
I have no questions. I have page 1 of your brief. You've got actual year built of 68 and effective of 82. Do you know what's constituted that 15-year increase?
I missed that one. I wasn't able to get that information with me, Madam Chair. Apologies.
So you don't know the last time it was inspected?
No, I wasn't able to get that information.
Page 2 of your brief, that sale in October of 11, do you know if that was arm's length?
No, I wasn't able to get information on that one due to the date of it and
Okay.
almost 8 years or 9 years.
Yeah, all right, thank you. Mr. DuPont, if you'd like to proceed with your brief.
Page 1 shows the photo. Still got the old exterior, 2.5 stories. And the sign in front that it appears to be showing now renting, so after renovations. Aerial map shows the page 2. And page 3 is the area that it is, so it's on Gray Street. Page 6, it's a cap rate. Page 7 is our income approach. So line 3, the rents are $854. The remarks at the bottom says sold October 2011 for $1,600,000, renovated in 2012. So they have still edge up the rents. The line 1, you see, it went from 228 in 2013 to 276, so they're still pushing the rents. And so they have to give discounts. So the discounts went up in 2017 to $30,000. Vacancy went up also, so that's the market pushing back. So they're netting after discount $354 per suite. And the suite mix is exactly half a bedroom and half two bedroom. The vacancy they had was 3.6, and that's what we used. So line 13 EGI were higher than the assessor by $14,000. Stabilized in normal way. Now the utilities, line 23, it's only 11%, and you saw they had some others today were 13 to 19%. So this is very low. They have no gas, and they have hydro only, so it's an electric baseboard. So they have very low utilities, and that's what they are, and that's what we're stabilizing at. So it causes a relatively low expense ratio, 48.9% compared to other properties here today. Still higher than the assessor. The assessor, for some reason, has a very low expense ratio of 46%. Now, repair and maintenance, line 27. You've got 5 years and relatively stable, and it's very low at $715 per suite. And that's what we have stabilized at. The 5-year average, so that it's low because it's been renovated. And I guess part of the renovations, they made it more efficient, energy efficient, because they have very low utilities. So when we get the stabilization net income, we're almost the same as the assessor. We're 1,000 higher than the assessor. So very similar net income. So a cap rate is the main issue, 5 3/4. So it's 1968, they had 1982 variant year, and that's a cap rate of 5 3/4. And other ones that we had here built in 68, we were at 6%. So we were 4% lower on that one. Financial statements for page 11, no adjustment on the 2017, no adjustment page 12, no adjustment page 13, 14. And no adjustments prior years either. There's just low years, we don't need to adjust them. Low repair maintenance. So we show each the years. They do show a breakdown of the repair maintenance, and they give a good amount of details. The page 22, they have rehab expense, which we have excluded naturally. So they show the 2012 rehab expense, so that's when it was renovated. Page 23 shows that total rehab of $831,000. They spent $279,000 on mechanical, and so that would be one of the reasons for the low utilities. And they replaced a lot of windows and doors, which helps the efficiency of the building also. So that's my report.
Thank you. Questions?
No questions, Madam Chair.
Mr. Mescott?
No questions.
No questions. And I have no questions. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Mr. Balderrama, are you okay there? Thanks, Colin. And Mr. DuPont, you're not cold at all. You don't even have your jacket on.
I'm getting a little bit cold now. I'm thinking about it.
Okay. We'll move on to 505 Regent Avenue. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next property has a file number of 19-2729. Has a roll number of 09005476000. It is located at 505 Regent Avenue West. Reviewing with the roll year of 2020, using reference date of April 1st, 2018, the assessed value is $1,425,000. The property is a residential apartment with one building, 2 stories, with an actual and effective year built of 1964. It has 16 suites with 16 outdoor parking. It has a land area of 13,195 square feet, land area of 5,202 square feet, and a gross floor area of 15,606 square feet. On page 3, there are a couple of aerial photos of the subject property. On page 4 is the income valuation summary. Here the property has 16 units with an average monthly rent per unit of $799.97. It has a vacancy rate of 3% and an expense ratio of 49.29%, giving it a net operating income of $75,551. Using the capitalization rate of 5.3%, the capitalized income is $1,425,491. On page 5 are some rent comparables. They're all ranging from $806 up to $937 average monthly rent per unit. And right below it is the map of the subject property and comparable rents. Pages 6 and 7 are the capitalization rate charts. Pages 9 to page 11 is the 2017 income and expense information for the subject property. That's my presentation, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. DuPont?
Yes, page 5. Do you consider this property as average condition or below average? Is there any ratings that you're aware of?
It's an average thing, in my opinion.
So the subject suite mix is 14 one-bedroom and two bedrooms, so it's skewed heavily to one-bedrooms.
Yes, that's good.
Your comparable number 1 has no one-bedrooms and 25 twos, so that we'd say that the suite mix is superior.
Yes.
And the next one, 2 is superior also, so you got 0 one-bedroom and 1 2.
The bigger, yes.
And number 3, same thing, 1 bedroom and 17, so they be superior due to suite mix. Now the last comparable, it's out of line with the other 3, and then the other 3 are low 800 rent, this one's 937. Would you agree that this property is lightly renovated to your last comparable?
I don't have that information.
Would you agree that 937 is a high rent property built in 1973?
Could be.
And the subject is built 1964, and you're comparing to 1973. So would you agree that the age of that comparable number 4 makes it superior?
It does.
All questions?
Thank you. Mr. Messerly?
Look where it is.
Ms. Nesbitt?
I just noticed that you used a vacancy rate of 3% for this property. Your other properties are using a model rate of 2.6. Is that reflective of this particular area of the city, or?
That's correct. It is a model-derived vacancy rate, and I believe this is a different market region compared to the ones west of Lajimodi.
So, Mr. Valderrama, do you have anything in your notes when this was last inspected?
I wasn't able to check on that with Madam Chair. I wasn't able to take note on when it was last inspected.
Okay. Sorry, and I have a follow-up question to what Ms. Nesbitt asked. You stated about the vacancy rate was modeled, obviously, from page 4, but so the model determines if it's in a different area that it's going to have a higher vacancy?
Different market region. I believe this is a different market region compared to the ones that we had previously, which are I think west of Lajimodi.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you. Mr. Dupont, do you want to proceed?
Page 1 photo. You can see with 2.5, 2-story. The basement windows are kind of hidden there, and very tiny. The aerial photo after, and the map shows it's on region east of Plessy, Transcona area. Page 7. So the cap rate we use is 6% because it's built in 1964. We have much lower rent. They are line 3. They're getting $6.38 per suite, which is on the low end for that age group. It's around $809 from our requirement study. So they have actually very low rent. They do show some discounts there, but we can look at it. It could be a caretaker rent reduction. So line 13, we're 126. The assessor's 148, so we're 22,000 less. Utilities is 13.9%, which is not bad. And they have part hydro, part gas. I believe it's hot water, which show on the questionnaire. Repair maintenance, line 27, we've adjusted. You will see that when we go through the financials, we have adjusted. We do the 5-year average is $822 per suite, which is very, very low. But it's because it has low rents. So the rents and the repair maintenance are matching. So the average is $1,553 for this age group. We're not going to increase it to the average. So we're going site specific. So the expense ratio, we end up less than the assessor, 44.4%. It's not that it's energy efficient, it's just because it has low repair maintenance. So we'll go through the financials. Page 11, it's managed by Sussex, so those are Sussex financials. 2017, the appliance purchase is 43, which is much lower than 167 average. Carpeting is 113 per suite, lower than 400 average. No adjustment for that year. Page 12 is the second page, no adjustment there either. Page 13, air conditioning was 4,000, we allowed 25%, and we showed the other 4 years, 1900, 0, 972, and 1369. So we end up allowing for 1,000. There's no appliance replacement that year. Parking lot, we allowed 50% of the 3,400, so we allowed 1,700. And the flooring and carpet, it was 410 per suite, which is close to the average. That year they spent some money on carpeting, other years they have not. Page 14, no adjustments. Page 15, the 2015 statement, the appliance is $1.56 per suite, which is very low. And flooring carpet is only $9 per suite, which is very low also. And page 16, no adjustment. Page 17 is the 2014 statement. The appliances is only 33 per suite, and the flooring is only 28 per suite. We made no adjustments to repair and maintenance except for the 12,000, which is structural R&M, 12,862. We disallowed that. Page 19, that's the 2013 statement. There was no appliance replacement that year. Flooring was 165 per suite. We made no adjustment. So, and then page 21, towards the top of the page, the property features, you see what kind of heat it has. And it's X for hot water, so it has hot water heat. And parking, 8 stalls for 16 suites. So they have only 50% parking also. So that that's probably not taken into consideration the assessor's formula with the model. Everything is assumed that normal parking, etc. So this is a low bedroom suite mix, the 14 one-bedroom and 2 two-bedrooms. So it has low rent per suite and low repair maintenance per suite. Not that good a condition based on the financials. We apply a 6% cap rate. That's for value $1,174,000. That's my report.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. Valderrama?
No questions, Madam Chair.
Mr. Mazakat?
The rent seems low. The suites are, it's only, I know it's one bedroom, but 975 square feet is a pretty big apartment for a one bedroom. And the rent is only $638 a month. Was that unusual?
Well, it's below average for sure. On the 975 per suite,
Well, that's based on the city's,
that's the assessor's.
that's the assessor's information.
No, with the photos, the page 1, you see just have the tiny windows there. So I think it's a wasted basement. I believe there's no suites in the basement.
Okay.
So if you count the windows, if you take 2 windows per suite, and so you count the windows, so that it appears to be 4 suites top floor, 4 bottom, times 2 sides would be 16 suites. So it appears the suites are all on the second, well, first, second, nothing in the basement.
Yeah, there's no information.
So the basement is wasted.
Okay.
So the 975 is.
Oh, you see, it would include all of that square footage.
Yeah, so the 975 square feet is huge.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's actually 1/3 less than a gross area, 600.
Okay, that would explain it. Is it?
That's it. Right. No. So, Mr. Dupont, page 7 of your brief, is the 638 an actual on the rent?
Yes.
I'm also going to say, in your opinion, having an apartment on Regent would probably be not the best location in terms of
Right.
traffic,
Yeah,
busyness.
it's on a busy street in Transcona. But I would think most of it is due to the lack of repair and maintenance we're putting in this
Right,
place.
1964.
So the market's saying, well, based on the condition of this property, we're not going to pay $800 rent. So that's all they're getting is a 638.
Thank you. And 800 Roanoke Street.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next property has a file number of 19-2927. Has a roll number of 09000963000. It is located at 800 Roanoke Street. We're dealing with the roll year of 2020 using reference date of April 1st, 2018. The assessed value is $2,977,000. The property is a residential apartment with one building, 2 stories, and an actual and effective year built of 1962. It has 30 suites with 30 outdoor parking. The land area is 29,390 square feet. The planned area is 9,345 square feet. The total gross floor area is 27,595 square feet. On page 3, a couple of aerial photos for the subject property. And on page 4 is the income valuation summary. There are 30 total units with an average monthly rent per unit of $890.88, a vacancy rate of 3%, and an expense ratio of 49.29%. Giving it a net operating income of $157,756. Using the capitalization rate of 5.3%, the capitalized income is $2,976,528. On page 5 are some rent comparables. They're all ranging from $945 up to $1,171 average monthly rent per unit. And just right below it is the map of the subject property and comparable rents. Pages 6 and 7 are the capitalization rate charts. Page 9 and 10 is where the 2017 income and expense information for the subject property is. That's my presentation, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Questions? Mr. Dusant?
Oh, page 5. So the subject is D wood or steel stud. So it's not masonry. You don't know whether it's steel stud or wood stud.
I'm sorry, the subject property?
Yes, subject. This is
As per our information, it's wood or steel stud. I'm not sure if it's otherwise.
now your second comparable is built 2010. Is that a mistake that it's that new property shown there?
I think it was added there. I added it there just to see because I'm lacking comparable rents close to the vicinity of the subject property. And I'm going for the 2-bedroom mix, trying to as much as possible.
Number 4, 3 Sanford Fleming Road, and that's a garden type apartment with every suite has their own entrance. Would you agree that's totally different than what the subject is?
Without inspecting it or looking at it, I'm not sure. I don't know if that is a garden. I can't agree or disagree with it.
And your comparable number 1, built 1969, and the rents are $11.71 per suite. Isn't that extremely high? Compared to, is that much higher than an average?
Sure, there's a 3-bedroom units. That maybe is the reason of being pulled up in terms of average. But other than that, it's average to me.
Would you say slightly renovated has such high rents?
I don't know if it's renovated or not. I don't have that information.
quick question on, once again, the sale in 2010.
No, I didn't look into that, Madam
Any
Chair, because
information?
it's 2010.
Okay.
So,
Okay, that's all my questions. Mr.
You're hot. I'm freezing. I can't feel my feet.
I can't either.
If I'm off the leaving, so it's just.
Oh, yeah. Just send it that way.
you want to go here? It's a bit cooler.
Yeah,
You must be freezing over
A
there.
little bit.
Yeah.
I can feel the draft. It's all right. No, it's okay. It's okay.
Towards Riley.
It's fine. I can feel the heat.
Too.
It's okay. I can feel the heat. Thank you.
Sorry.
It's more the draft on this side.
Yeah, you can feel
It's
it.
really,
But I feel the heat.
yeah, it's very bad sitting over there. Go ahead, Mr. DuPont.
Page 1. You can see from the photo, it's a bit of a different type of property. 1962, 2.5 stories, so they have balconies on the first top floors. The other ones are I guess they have metal fence there. And then page 2, the aerial photo, so it's got semicircular. Page 3 shows the map, so it's north Transcona. So it's east of Dave. So right in the middle of the east of Transcona. Page 7. Property built 1962. Suite mix is a bit strange. Got 5 bachelors and 25 2-bedrooms. We got no 1-bedrooms. The gross floor area is 27,000 square feet, divided by 30 suites, so it's slightly less than 1,000. Such a has at 920. Now the actual rents, line 3, is 804 per suite, which is pretty much what it is for that age group. And then the line 13, we got 289,000 BGI versus the assessor's 311. So the assessor's on the high side or higher than actual. Now the expenses, we have the utilities are low at 10.6%. That's what the actual utilities are. That's the how it's built, so it's mainly gas. Repair maintenance, we show the 5 years. Yeah, 43 to 50,000. The 3-year average is 52,000 there, Mr. Massacott, and then we stabilize at 5 years.
I just noticed that.
So, if you want, we can go back to 52. So the 5-year average is 1586 per suite, and that's what we stabilize at, and that's in line with the repair maintenance study also. Now we stabilize at 6%, so it comes at 2,384,000. Now the rents on line 1 it has increased from 216 to 290, so they are pushing the rents. So they had to raise the rents, and they're now at or about average. We can go to the financial statements. So this is K4, so they have different statements than other people. So they have a first page where they show repair maintenance as one item. Then we say CGL, general ledger. So we get the general ledger. So on the next page, on top it shows the discounts, and that's what we show in the spreadsheet. Then it shows each of these items there. We disallowed the fire prevention RTB regs. They have a lot of their items either regular or RTB regs. RTB regs is it's a type that it is amortized by RTB Residential Tenancies Branch. So they show their repairs so that they can easily calculate what kind of rent increase it can go for. So something RTB regs are more likely to be capital expenditures than another, but they had another 5,000 already. So we allowed one 5,507 we disallowed the 5,317. On page 13, we disallowed the boiler maintenance, 6234. Maintenance we should allow. Normally, in this case, we allowed the 3,100, but not the 62. Page 14 is the start of 2016. So that's the first page where there's no breakdown, repair, maintenance. Page 13 is the breakdown. We made no adjustments on page 15. On page 16, boiler maintenance, we allowed 50% of the 7,800. That's the only adjustment we made, repair maintenance for that year. Page 17 is the 2015 start. Page 18 is the general ledgers for 2015, repair maintenance. We disallowed the boiler maintenance at 1264. All of that is subjective. We normally disallow boiler replacement. In this case, we are disallowing boiler maintenance, which is, I guess, maybe overly conservative on our part. We don't necessarily have to do that. Page 20 is the general ledger for the 2014. We made no adjustment for that year. And page 21, 22, 22 is the general ledger for 2013. We made no adjustments for that year. So that's our submission.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. Valderrama? Mr. Muscat?
No questions.
I have no questions.
And I have no questions on this. Thank you. And our last property at 635 Watt Street. And whenever you're ready, Mr. Valderrama.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This property has a file number 19-2510. It has a roll number 020411630000. It is located at 635 Watt Street. We're dealing with the roll year of 2020. Using the reference date of April 1st, 2018, the assessed value is $2,054,000. The property is a residential apartment with one building, 2 stories, and an actual and effective year built of 1959. It has 22 suites with 19 outdoor parking. The property has a land area of 19,180 square feet, land area of 6,143 square feet, and a gross floor area of 18,429 square feet. On page 3 is a couple of pictures, aerial photos of the subject property. On page 4, the income valuation summary. Property has 22 units with an average monthly rent per unit of $830.24. It has a vacancy rate of 2.6% with an expense ratio of 49%, giving it a net operating income of $108,877. Using the capitalization rate of 5.3%. The capitalized income is $2,054,283. On page 5 are some rent comparables. They are all ranging from $842 up to $913 average monthly rent per unit. Right below it is the map of the subject property and the comparable rents. On pages 6 and 7 are the capitalization rate charts. page 9 to page 11, where the 2017 income and expense information for the subject property as my presentation, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. DuPont?
Yes, for page 5. Subject built 1959, and your four comparables of 83, 70, 81, 1994. So they're much newer.
That's correct.
Now the subject suite mix is 19 one-bedroom and 3 two-bedrooms. So your comparables, I guess you're trying to get similar suite mix, but 2 and 3 would have better suite mix. They have more two-bedrooms, so it's 4 more two-bedrooms.
Yes, that's correct.
That's all question.
Thank you. Mr. Moskowitz?
Any questions?
Thank you.
I have no questions. You wouldn't happen to have any notes on when this was last inspected?
No, I wasn't able to do that.
Okay, just because it's still effective as 1959. Mr. DuPont?
Okay. Page 1, Pillow. 2.5 story. First story, half in the ground. Aerial map, page 2, map, page 3. West Street, just above Monroe. Page 7. I asked the assessor a question about the rents, mainly because their subject rents are lower than the assessor. Now they show the rents there, from 2013 to 2017, so they went up slowly from 177 to 199. Line 5 vacancy, 4.8, 2.3, 4.1, 2.5, 2.5. So they are getting the market vacancy, so they're not near zero. So the rents are not lower than market. So they have the 757 rent, 1959. So that would be in line with the retirement studies we have, where it shows a 809 rent for 60 to 79. This 1959, so actually it's our category 12, low rise, 46 to 59. We have 6 properties, and the average rent there is 75. So the 757 is in line with its age. Now the utilities is at 13% based on actuals, which is relatively normal. Repair maintenance, line 27. We have one low year than other years, so the 3-year average is 33,000. The 5-year is 28,000. We use the 5 years, which is 1286, which is below the 1553 average for 60 to 79. But the 46 to 59 we have 6 properties in our repairment study was stabilized at 1210. Here we're stabilizing at 1286. So we're stabilizing site specific. That's what we do. We go site specific all the way. So the cap rate on this is 6 1/4 because it's built 1959. So the different age groups. So the previous page 6 will show that 46 to 59 is the age group that we have. Same as the assessor at 6 1/4 we have for that age group. The assessor is still 5.2%. We can go through the financial statements. Page 12. So they do have a breakdown of repair maintenance, so that towards the second half of the page, they have their repair maintenance, so that 2017 we did not make any adjustments. We put the snow removal under waste and snow. 2013, page 13 is the rest of 2017, there's no R&M there. Page 14, it shows inscription, so it shows it's gas forced there, and it's got 19 stalls, that's where we got our stall count from. Page 15 is the 2016 statement. There again, we made no adjustments, we moved the waste and snow though to a separate category. Page 18 is the 2015. We did make adjustments there. So heating repairs was 10,000. We allowed 33%. We showed the other years. It was 4,400, 0, 1,300, 2,059 for 2013. So we allowed a third of that, so we allowed 3,300. And general repairs, that does not indicate structural or capital expenditures, but it's higher than other years. I will show the other years there. 3,300, 43, 530, 106, we allowed 50%. And we disallowed major expenditures, shown there 38, 36. They don't show what it is, we just disallowed it. Page 21 is the 2014. We did not disallow any expenses there. Page 24 is the 2013. We did not disallow any repair and maintenance there. That would be my report.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. Valderrama?
No questions.
Mr. Mazagon?
Any questions?
I have any questions. I have no questions.
Okay.
And I thank you both, gentlemen. And that concludes this hearing.
Thank you.